Good evening, guys. I'm Ferenc. A pleasure to be back with you guys again. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. I want to talk about meditating and kind of the realization that I've had literally within the last 2 weeks of why it's important to me. Specifically, I used to think that meditating was just about sitting, trying to clear your mind, trying to de stress. And yes, it is definitely very useful in those aspects. But for me, in my life, my goal has been for the last year to change the way that I think, change my mindset from honestly, sometimes very resentful, sometimes jealous, sometimes envious, sometimes just unpleasant to be around because I just felt like I needed to be better than everybody else. And there's no way you can go into a room and always be the best person in the room. It's just not the way to exist. However, at the time, about even just a year ago, that's the reality that I wanted to be in. So my goal for the last year has just been to change the way that I think from more to a more open, positive, non competitive kind of mentality in a nutshell. So, sitting down meditating one day, I'm thinking to myself, why am I making so much of an effort to block thoughts from coming in? If anything, I should really be allowing myself just to, yes, clear my mind, of course, but be aware of the thoughts that are rising up. Because when you sit and meditate and you clear your mind, you're sitting there and eventually, it doesn't matter how long you've been meditating, eventually a thought comes up. And the way that I look at it is that that thought came from deep in your subconscious mind. And if you get into meditating and get into trying to learn about it, it can be extremely confusing. It can sound a lot of mumbo jumbo. And at the end of the day, your subconscious mind, the way I see it, is what introduces the thought to you, right? It's one thing to make yourself think a certain way, right? But it's another thing on the thoughts that your subconscious mind kind of just introduces to you and gives you to work with. And then from there, you have to consciously decide, yes, I want to think about this, or no, I don't want to think about this, right? So I'm meditating and I'm starting to realize that, you know what? I can keep my mind clear for a little bit, but eventually a thought might come up, and it's a thought of maybe of resentment, for example, or maybe it's a thought of, all right, oh, I should have done this, or this person was a real jerk in this situation. I should have said that when I was confronting them. And I'm realizing these are not the kinds of thoughts that I want to have to be battling with on a daily basis. At the end of the day, it takes energy to change the way that you think, right? So that kind of just made me realize the best way for me to gauge where I am subconsciously in my own mind is to sit and meditate and to see what kind of thoughts are being suggested to me by that subconscious mind. Again, guys, I'm going to go back into it. So, the exercise here is to sit down, clear your mind for just a few seconds. Clear your mind for a second, try to keep it that way, and then notice the thought that gets suggested to you. Again, you're consciously trying not to think about anything, but eventually your subconscious kicks in and suggests you a thought. I'm like, hey, is it about your mom? Is it about your dad? Is it about something you're happy about? Is it something about you're sad about? Something, is it about a dream? Is it about a worry? And then you take stock of those thoughts, and then after 5 minutes of doing this, or even just a few minutes, you can all pretty much already tell my subconscious mind is giving me thoughts of worry, is giving me thoughts of, or it's giving me positive thoughts. And I'll tell you what, guys, as somebody who listens to spiritual messaging every single day, listens to positive podcasts, listens to motivational speeches, listens to seminars, listens to audiobooks, listens to lectures, even still, with all that stuff being fed into me, my mind will still when I'm sitting down and trying to just to keep quiet, in my head, my mind will just give me a thought like of, hey, you were mad at your hypothetically, we're mad at your cousin, let's say. You were upset with your cousin. And at the end of the day, I am not trying to really dwell on those kinds of things, but the whole point of this exercise is that it shows you where your subconscious mind is. It's giving you these thoughts of resentment, of worry, or it's giving you these thoughts of positivity and dreams and goals. And given, yes, there's sometimes when I'm meditating and I'll envision myself on a boat fishing, or I'll envision myself in a beautiful garden. And those are thoughts that I am not even trying to think about. Like I said, my goal in that meditation session is just to keep my mind blank, but be aware of what my subconscious mind, like I said, offers up to me to work with. Because at the end of the day, guys, you can be fighting your thoughts all day. It's one thing to consciously think about, yes, I choose to think about success. I'm not but it takes it takes mental energy, right? To change your thoughts. So let's say if your subconscious mind isn't on that level of, if for example, if you're not feeding the garden of your mind positive messages that are good for you, messages that have meaning, messages that give you meaning, messages that make you think, messages that make you want to increase your life and have a better life. If you're not pouring that stuff into your garden, naturally, you're not going to reap those kinds of thoughts. But my point is that there's a way to measure where you are in that stuff subconsciously through meditating. And again, guys, I'm just going to reiterate it because, like I said, this is the second podcast we're doing, and it's not perfect. And at the end of the day, I really want to reiterate this point so everybody gets it. The point of this exercise is to sit down and decide, okay, I want to know where my subconscious mind is at. What kind of thoughts is my subconscious mind giving me to work with? Because if my subconscious mind is giving me thoughts I don't want to work with, I don't want to think about, I need to spend mental energy to decide, no, I'm not going to think about that thing I did last week that I didn't feel good about. That takes mental energy to change your thoughts, right? But when your subconscious mind is giving you thoughts that you consciously want to think about, it's just a flow of positive thoughts all the time. But that mental battle is going on in your head when your subconscious mind is not in a positive state. And the simple exercise is just to sit down, quiet your mind, and just notice that the thoughts that pop up. Like I said, I don't know anybody at all who can meditate and not have a single thought pop up. The whole point of meditation is to just, in a certain form, is yes to keep your mind clear. But at this stage of my life, I'm spending a lot of energy trying to change the way I think. Make sure that I'm thinking positively, naturally, without any effort. That is the key that I'm trying to really get to. Is I want to train my mind. I want to train my mind to think positively and hopefully and spiritually without any effort. And I can identify where I am with that by doing that meditation process of clearing my mind and seeing what my subconscious mind is offering to me. Guys, that's really it for today. I just wanted to get this down, get it out there, and I would love if you guys put some comments. Let me know if it works. Let me know what you think about what I'm talking about. Does it make sense? Is it more mumbo jumbo that's out there? Guys, I thank you so much for watching the video. Fill Your Life with Ferenc is my personal channel of moving forward in life, getting through obstacles, becoming a better person than I was yesterday. And that's a part of this whole kind of change of attitude that I'm trying to have. The number one reason that I've noticed in myself that I'm unhappy is when I start comparing myself to others. And you know what? Doing stuff like social media and stuff, you cannot help but doing that. So at the end of the day, where are we in terms of this moving forward is where I am in this term moving forward is what I want this podcast to be about. And of course, anybody who can glean any sort of inspiration, motivation, encouragement from this, God bless them, you know. Like I said, guys, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I'd really, really appreciate it. Have an excellent day.